Steamroller incoming. A steamroller that could crush anything under tons of weight, the best heavy machine there was. And now Min-suk used it to smash the zombie horde. Suddenly, two zombies merged into one twisted mass, shaking hard. It had 4 eyes and let out a sharp scream. But no matter the monster, once it went under that steamroller drum, it was over. The other zombies sensed the danger too late. They turned their heads. Haeri's team watched, frozen in shock. Wherever Min-suk drove, the ground was covered in broken bodies. Inside the cab, he gripped the wheel tight, eyes straight ahead, fully focused. Cut to the civilian truck. Dammy sat next to an old woman, holding her backpack tight. She stared down, worry in her eyes. What is this? She thought. She remembered confronting her dad not long ago. Why do you have to do this? Min-suk had replied gently. Because no one else can. I'll stay with the soldiers. Don't worry. But Dammy couldn't shake her fear. What if they find out who you are? Just then, a voice rang out. Captain Haeri's unit has returned. Dammy remembered something else her dad said. It's just support. That's all, sweetie. Nothing more. Now, from the window, she saw him drive that huge steamroller through a wall of undead. Dad, you'll never let yourself get exposed, right? The sight left her quiet and stunned. Suddenly, Dammy screamed, everyone. Move back, yes, ma'am. A few zombies still chased them, but they didn't get far. One by one, they got flattened under Min-suk's machine. A soldier on top cheered. Took them all out in one go. Soon, the sun started to set. The convoy kept moving steadily, vehicle after vehicle. A young soldier peeking from the steamroller's roof grinned wide and called, Captain Haeri, we did it. 6:45 p.m. The whole 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade had arrived. It was a key stronghold on the way to Dijon. If they pushed on, this was a must-pass point. Min-suk grinned from the wheel. Only 8 days to get here. That's a new record. But his smile faded. His brows furrowed. We can't get cocky. If I let power go to my head, or make one wrong move. The image of Dammy in danger flashed in his mind. She could get hurt. I won't stray from the safe paths I know from my last life. This is just the start. The young soldier looked down from the roof and shouted in awe. That was crazy. You're a real expert. To be honest, I didn't want to team up at first. Thought you were too much. But without you, none of us would be alive. Another person stepped from a vehicle and eyed Min-suk curiously. We found that machine. Never thought anyone would drive it. What did you do before all this? Manual labor. Min-suk said with a light laugh. Nah, I just learned how. That's all. In this world, knowing more helps you survive. With that, Haeri and Min-suk stepped out of the vehicle. I'm just glad everyone made it safe, Haeri said as she stretched her joints. Surprisingly, she thanked him. Hearing that, Min-suk puffed up a bit, following her with a smug grin. Wait, what was that? That last part. Annoyed by his teasing, Haeri whipped around and barked, You're so noisy. Up ahead, waiting for them, stood Sergeant Lee, the commander of the 1st Company in the 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade, and another soldier. He smiled warmly and greeted her. Captain Haeri, we've been expecting you. That caught her off guard. You know who I am? She asked. He quickly explained. Yes, ma'am. We were told that with your skills, you'd definitely get here by today. That's what Colonel Cha said, he added. Her face changed the moment she heard that name. Colonel Cha, she repeated under her breath. He chuckled. Yes, he said, quoting him. A loud-mouthed, stubborn female officer will show up here soon. Haeri's face darkened instantly, like a tiger ready to pounce. She snapped, Where is the colonel? Meanwhile, Minuk tried to calm Haeri, who looked tense from all the yelling. He continued calmly. He's at the rear gate, ma'am. There's been a zombie sighting over there. At that, Haeri flinched. Her eyes went wide with worry and confusion. The colonel went there himself, she shouted. He led the troops in person. He let out a small laugh and shook his head. No, ma'am, Haeri breathed a sigh of relief. Good. He's not exactly young anymore, but then he raised an eyebrow and muttered with a smirk. Is that so? He glanced off in a certain direction, hesitating a bit. There. A tall, powerful figure stood, broad-shouldered and still full of command. The colonel had handled it himself. Cut to the rear gate of the brigade. 2 soldiers stood guard, scanning the area. One glanced at his watch and said, 35 minutes and 27 seconds. Then he called out, Sir, that's a new record. The man they spoke to, Colonel Cha, chuckled, a low, amused sound. Blades really are better than guns. The zombie he had just killed lay sprawled on the ground, unrecognizable. Colonel Cha grinned, showing his teeth in satisfaction. This was the former commander of the Special Warfare Command, now leading the 2nd Mechanized Infantry Brigade. Colonel Cha stared down at the zombie's crushed skull with pure glee. Now that's satisfying. Nothing beats chopping one up with your own hands. 2 young soldiers nearby looked pale and worried. Even so, sir, please, one said. Next time, use a gun. We're right here. What if you got bitten? Cha just burst out laughing, louder than before. Me? Bitten by these pathetic corpses? Don't make me laugh. He leaned in close to the zombie's lifeless face. Then, without looking away, he asked, so, what's the combat strength of this one? He turned to the young soldiers and barked. With your weak fighting skills, how are you going to help anyway? All you do is get in my way. The two soldiers exchanged a helpless look. Harsh, sir, one said. That's harsh. Yeah, but he's not wrong, the other replied. Can't argue with that. Cha winced and rubbed his shoulder. Ugh. My back is killing me. Whoever said old age spares no one was right. His eyes darted to the side. Is there really no one out there worth a damn besides this pack of useless kids? And yes, those same useless kids definitely heard him. Just then, a huge zombie slowly rose behind him. Cha turned, one eyebrow raised in mild interest, not a hint of fear. He stared it right in the eyes and said calmly. Huh? You still alive? The creature let out a guttural growl and lunged straight at him. But it got flattened midair by Minnick, who charged in like a steamroller out of nowhere. The two young soldiers jumped back in shock. What the hell was that? Cha narrowed his eyes, gripping his weapon tight. He stared ahead. Someone like me only needs one glance. But this time, even I was surprised. His eyes widened as dust and steam cleared. Minnick stepped forward slowly. The killing intent coming off him was thick and heavy, like a storm. So, what's the combat level of this one? Cha muttered. Minnick spoke up, his voice calm but sure. Nice to meet you all. I came here with Captain Hayeri. My name is Ryu Minnick. I heard about the trouble and came to help, but before he could finish, Cha raised his weapon and swung it down hard, aiming straight for Minnick's head. Minnick moved in a flash. He dodged. The soldiers nearby cried out in shock. Colonel. What the hell? Did you just attack a civilian? One choked mid-sentence as he stared. No way. What is this? Minnick was holding the blade steady with one hand. Just holding it, they looked up and shouted, Colonel, but Cha wasn't backing down. His anger burned hot. Everyone, fall back. Sound the red alert now. He stared into Minnick's eyes, which glowed blood red. In a voice full of warning, he declared, this guy is a monster. Minnick let out a quiet sigh. Can't fool those sharp eyes of yours, huh? Then he called out loud and clear. Cha froze in disbelief. What? In that same moment, Minnick twisted his wrist and shattered Cha's blade with pure strength. The broken pieces flew through the air. Cha's hand, still holding the weapon's handle, hung frozen in place. Minnick bowed his head a little. I have to stay here. And to do that, I need your trust. But words alone aren't enough anymore. Cha stared at him, stunned, unable to believe his eyes. Minnick raised both fists. He shifted into a fighting stance, ready for what came next. Then, let me show you who I really am, in the language you understand. Bestial combat rules.